Good evening. This is Jack from Charting the Markets, and this is the Bigger Picture webinar for Sunday, the 17th of November. My disclaimer, I do this for educational purposes only. I'm here to share my technical analysis with you. I hope you can take some of what I'm doing and learn from it, transfer it to your own charts. I'm not here to issue trading signals. Right. Okay, on ES, we saw a strong day down yesterday, and basically that was a flag which broke down and went considerably lower. I was talking about it on Friday morning, the possibility that we might test the daily middle band, and we tested the daily middle band, which is a big support level. Now, could this be the start of something larger? Yes, but I'd be expecting some kind of a pattern to form. There are options here. We've got a possible neckline here, which is pretty nice at 57.25. Or we could see a high retest. I have to say seasonality is not great for a top, but we could certainly see a top form over the next few weeks. But I wouldn't be expecting to see it play out in a big way. But, that's just playing the odds. But obviously there's obviously a chance all the time that it goes the other way. All right, looking at NQ, again, flag, again, broke down, again, went lower. No current positive divergence on ES or NQ at the moment. We could develop some overnight, or we could develop some tomorrow. We will see. Looking at the RTY chart, we've got a possible 60-minute buy signal brewing. We had a head and shoulders here. I haven't marked it in because by the time it was obvious, it had already made target. So the target was down here in about the 2320 area. So that is already made. That was the most decent of the topping patterns, although we do have another one on YM, which is a pretty good quality one. I was talking about this on Friday morning. Now, YM has actually held up the best of all of these. We do have a possible 60-minute buy signal brewing, but this is a very nice head and shoulders, and my lean is likely to make target. I've got that target down in about the 43,125 area. DAX and the STX still really trapped. I mean, the Trump rally didn't really happen outside the US, so we haven't really had the start of a Christmas rally here yet, and the STX has been making lower lows over the last few days. All right, great. Let's have a look at those on the bigger picture charts. Right, on SPX, on ES, we've got no current divergence. We came back down, we tested the daily middle band, and we closed very marginally above it. That effectively was a close on it. So we haven't seen a break of it yet. Obviously, it's only the end of day breaks that really matter. So we haven't seen that break on a daily basis yet. And so that is it coming back for a support test. We could go lower, but it really matters where it closes the end of the day, and if we see a breakdown, I would note that if we're going to see a breakdown and then a rejection back up, that would normally be the day after. Looking at SPY, the same, pretty much. So and looking at SPX, the same. So all of them basically close slightly above the daily middle band. And obviously that's a key support level, and we are testing it. Looking at the shorter term charts, looking at the hourly charts, no current positive divergence, but we could easily set some up tomorrow. On the 15-minute charts, we've got weak RSI 14 buy signal fix, a full size RSI 5 buy signal fix, and you can see I've marked in yellow. This is basically the Trump rally. This is the opening gap that started the Trump rally. So we're back testing the daily middle band, and we're also back testing this breakaway gap, which tends to be pretty good support until the trend which has gone up from here is going to retrace fully. So we will see. I'm not expecting that to break now, but I am watching it with interest. Qs. We actually closed below the daily middle band here, but it was not enough. Where we've got a support trend line here, which I'm watching. And I'm watching to see whether or not we reject back over it tomorrow, as I'm thinking we might. We are within range of hitting this rising support trend line on what is actually a pretty nice looking rising wedge, and I've got that rising support in about the 493 area, so we'll see how that goes. On the 15-minute chart, again, short-term positive divergence, and this is the Trump gap, which we've come down further within, but we would need to break this trend line to actually get down and retraced all the way through that. Looking at Dire, this has been holding up the best, so we were significantly above the daily middle band. Looking at the hourly chart, no current divergence. 15-minute again. We've got RSI 14 and RSI 5 buy signals fixed. Here it was slightly ahead of the others, and here also you can see that this is the much larger Trump gap, because we had a very big gap open on here on Trump's victory, and we are just backtesting the top of that at the moment. All right, let's have a look at IWM. Okay, IWM on the 15-minute, again, RSI 14, RSI 5 buy signals fixed. We had a nice looking head and shoulders that has now made target. Hourly chart, little bit of positive divergence on the RSI 5. Daily chart, again, we almost reached the daily middle band, but not quite. NDX is the only one that's actually gone through it. That's not enough of a support break to really get alarmed. If we start breaking all of these, that will actually be time to potentially be getting alarmed. And when we start filling these gaps, that will be suggesting that we might be forming a larger top here. But even then, I would expect a pattern to form, and that might well involve a high retest. Looking at DAX, DAX holding the daily middle band as resistance. Nikkei under the daily middle band as well, although marginally. There's still a head and shoulders here, which I was looking at before Trump's victory, and it's still potentially in play, but I'm not really expecting it to happen. Really, the seasonality is favouring a rally into Christmas and the New Year, but we will see whether or not that delivers. If we do see that, then I'll be expecting this to retest 42.4. All right, let's have a look at let's have a look at CL. Now, CL, I've just rolled this into January. I haven't rolled NG at the moment because that's been lagging about a week behind at the moment. So I've rolled this into January. We've got a little double top here, hasn't really changed. And we've almost made the target for it, but not quite. I do have also an open target down and a retest of 63.57. I'm thinking we may well go and get that. I'm looking at NG. NG, we've seen a nice move up. We've seen decent retracement of it, 50 to 60%, and I'm thinking we might be heading back up and possibly forming what could be a larger bear flag. We'll see. We do have in a week, we'll be switching over to January. That is going to have an uplift of about 25 cents, and that will be the last winter uplift. The last big gap up over the winter. After that, we're looking at gaps down at the end of the month, really into about April, which tends to be the seasonal low. All right, so if we are going to retest 1.52, I'm thinking it's probably going to happen in that time. Let's have a look at those on the bigger picture charts. CL, no current divergence. Kind of choppy, but basically the bigger picture, we had this very nice triangle which broke down and it's got a target at 63.57. I don't think Trump's election, I think that's made it more likely to hit that target rather than less, and we've been staying pretty close to it. I'm thinking we're probably going to hit that sooner rather than later. Looking at NG, NG, no current divergence. I drew in this triangle, and obviously we wandered off track there. We're holding the daily middle band as support, and I'm thinking we might well be retesting this high when we see the contracts roll into January. After that, I'm thinking that could be a double top and potentially bring us down. We will see. No divergence on NG either. But obviously I haven't rolled this into January yet. All right, let's have a look at GC. GC, we had a nice looking head and shoulders here, and we had a daily RSI 14 sell signal fixed. The head and shoulders made target, and now the sell signals made target too. We've got a little buy signal off the bottom, hasn't really delivered a lot yet. SI is breaking over this nice resistance trend line, but again, hasn't really followed through yet, and I can't see an obvious reversal pattern here at the moment. And HG went significantly lower and is now testing the 4 area. That could be good support, and I do think the dollar might be in the process of turning, and that actually could be obviously help precious metals and other metals a lot. Let's have a look at those on the bigger picture charts. GC, sell signal has made target. That was actually on the gold index chart, so you can see that's now perfectly made target. On the way, though, it has broken down through this rising support, which I've got in the 25.90 area. We could see a back test of that, but I am wondering given particularly that we've got this pretty nice looking trend line here, I'm wondering if we might go and test this rising support in the 23.75 area at the moment. Now, I'm not saying we need to do that, but there's definitely scope. And at the moment, while we have made target on this sell signal, we haven't got any positive divergence worth the mention. So I am wondering if this might go lower. We will see. Looking at silver, we've got a little bit of positive divergence on the RSI 5. That we almost lost that divergence as this is headed lower, but it's holding at the moment, and I am thinking at the least we may be looking at a bounce soon. On palladium, we may be heading back to retest this low here at 820.50, and on platinum, again, we may be heading back, and we're pretty close already, to a retest of this low here at 912.50. We don't have any positive divergence on the daily on either of those, and I'd like to see some develop. We may need to see some develop before we see any kind of big reversal. On copper, no current divergence. Come back to test the 4 area, and of course we've got this low here in the 3.921 area, which I'd be looking at as a potential target and the next big support. No pattern target getting us any lower here, so we'll have to see. I've got a nice looking resistance trend line here. I am wondering about a retest of this low. Could that be the second low of a double bottom? No, it's too big. It's just too big relative to this high. This would be too large to be a double bottom. Looking at GDX, we have gone lower. No current positive divergence, although we do have some on the hourly chart, and we've got some on GDXJ on the hourly chart too. We will see whether those deliver, but we haven't got any positive divergence on the daily charts. All right, let's have a look at ZB. ZB, this. I've been looking for a rally here, and we've not seen it. And it may be that we're not going to see it, and we're going to break lower directly. I'll talk about more about that on the TNX chart. On DX, I've got a nice looking megaphone here, and at the moment we're holding this resistance. Now, short term, this looks like a bull flag, and we're probably going to retest this high. I am wondering whether we might see it turn soon after that. But let's have a look at that on the big picture charts too. All right, let's have a look at. Right, hang on. Okay, here we are. Right, DX. RSI 14 sell signal fixed, and that hasn't quite failed yet, but it's definitely been thinking about it. I normally mainly watch the RSI 5s, and we had a nice sell signal there. That made target. We do not have another one at the moment, and we need to see a retracement and then a retest to get one. How's that looking? Pretty much exactly the same on the index chart. Do I have a target up here in the 109.5 area? I've got a trend line, which might be a target up there, yes. Doesn't need to hit that trend line, but if we were to draw a trend line across here, that would be the obvious one to hit. We've already seen a higher high over 106.38. I think we're probably going to see a higher high over 107.05. I am wondering how much further that's going to get. We've been on this very strong upper band ride. Sooner or later, that's going to end. Maybe it could get us all up to 109.5 before that happens, but I am wondering if it might end sooner. We will see. If we lose this sell signal here, then maybe it's going to go significantly higher. As it is, we don't have any negative divergence here, which would be a good indication that it was about to turn. Do we have anything on the main currencies? Not really. We're kind of between signals on most of these, and here I've drawn in this rising wedge on GBP USD, which is suggesting we might go significantly lower and get down at least to 122, 121, 122 on GBP. So I am wondering if this might go significantly lower, and if we get up to that 109.5 area, then we likely will. All right, looking at the hourly chart, no current divergence. What we've done, as we have not been rallying on ZB, is we've come back up and retested this high on TNX. This could be the second high of a double top, or we could be about to break up, because I also drew this flag on the daily chart, and this is a slight poke up over the top of the flag. Now, this doesn't mean that it's necessarily going to break up and make the target of 49.97, but if we see some follow through and it goes significantly higher, then that will be the target. A very slight poke like this doesn't really trigger it, but a more sustained break would. We could be heading back to it, and at this stage, we've now come up from 36 to 45, and we only really need to get another 5. We've already come almost 2/3 of the way to get back to the retest of this target, which is the obvious target if we're going to set up a double top and potentially then start heading down hard in the other direction, which I'm thinking may well be what's happening here. We will see. All right, let's have a look at KC. KC has gone higher. I've got a trend line target I was talking about a couple of weeks ago. I'll talk about that on the daily chart. We've got a possible 60-minute sell signal brewing, and this could be a little level top. Looking at SB, still looks like a flag, not with particularly nice trend lines at the moment. We've got a 60-minute buy signal, which has now reached possible near miss target. I'm still seeing this long consolidation as a likely flag, but it was a nice looking flag, and now it's not such a nice looking flag. CC, we've gone significantly higher. We've just broken this very steep rising support trend line, and we've got a 60-minute sell signal fixed, so I'm waiting to see if we're going to see some follow through to the downside. We do not have a topping pattern formed, so we don't have any targets really triggered to the downside. Looking at CT, we've gone significantly lower. I was talking about a retest, and I'll talk more about that on the daily chart. We haven't quite made that, I don't think. ZW has gone lower, and that's part of all the grains going lower. Corn has gone lower. It hasn't quite made it to head and shoulder target, but I'm still thinking it might. I've got that at 412, but at the moment we're trying to hold some support. We saw a big rally on Friday afternoon. On soy, I'm leaning towards seeing a retest of this low. Now we have just broken up over declining resistance, but I'm leaning towards seeing that, and that could be the second low of a double bottom if we do see it. But at the moment, this had a double bottom, it's broken up, and this looks like rejection so far. Maybe it isn't. Maybe a large bear flag is forming. Maybe there are other options, but the obvious next big target would be a retest of the low here. All right, let's have a look at lumber. Lumber, we had a little head and shoulders here. I haven't marked it in, but that's broken down with a target down at about the 600 area. We've also got a 60-minute sell signal fixed a while ago, and it looks as though that might be playing out, but all we've managed to do so far is get back to the new weekly pivot. Break below that, and I've got a target down in the 600 area, and it could go lower. Big sizable support level on about the 590 area, and another one down about the 578 area. Looking at live cattle, this looks like a flag which is trying to break up. Not the greatest pattern in the world. We've got a 60-minute buy signal fixed, and I'm thinking this might be returning back up to the highs. Looking at lean hogs, we've got this very long trend here which has actually just broken down in the last few hours. I'm wondering if this might trigger more to the downside. We've got a double top here, which is now broken down with a target in about the 80.8 to 81.25 area, and I'm thinking that may well make it. No current positive divergence. All right, let's have a look at those on the bigger picture charts. KC, I was saying when we held this channel that we might see a move up into the channel resistance, and obviously we're now very close to that target. I've got that in the 2.87 area, and I'm thinking we may well find resistance there. Looking at sugar, we've got what was a triangle, which has broken into a flag. Not the greatest trend lines on it, but this still looks like a bullish consolidation, whichever way you cut it. No current positive divergence, though. CC, this has gone significantly higher, and I think it's heading up into a retest of this high here in the 89.84 area. So I don't think that's done to the upside. Wheat, no current divergence, and looks like it wants a retest of this low at 520.60. And corn, we've got no positive divergence at the moment. We've broken up from this consolidation here. This looks more bullish, certainly, than wheat or soy. We'll see how it goes. It could be that this is now in an uptrend, or it could be that we're forming a bear flag. On soy, weak RSI 14 buy signal is fixed. We had an RSI 5 buy signal, and that's already made target. This is failing to break off the grounds, and I'm still wondering if we might see a retest of this low here at 973.40. As you can see, looking at the chart, that could make a very nice second low of double bottom. So we will see. I'm thinking we may well be about to see that lower low. Looking at cotton, no current divergence, and I'm leaning towards seeing a retest of the low here too. I mean, to a certain extent, retest of the lows aren't a bad thing to see here while we're seeing the dollar heading up like this, and not bad timing to say it. We could see, I'm expecting the dollar to turn before too long, and we could see some very nice looking double bottoms set up here. All right, great. In that case, I think that's a wrap. So I will catch you guys tomorrow, and everyone have a great rest of the weekend.